Hello everybody, my name's Mr.MidKnight and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be talking about one of the most iconic superheroes of all time. You may have heard of him, your great-grandpa may have heard of him, and your great-grandfather may have heard of him, because this superhero is a fucking century years old. And of course the superhero we all know and love is of course the Dark Knight, Batman. Now before I start this video and really break it down to you, I first want to say how much I do enjoy Batman and love Batman and grew up on Batman. Now he's not my favorite superhero of all time. That's kind of a very hard choice for me to make, as I much prefer villains. And when it comes to Marvel, it's kind of the same attitude. But getting back to my point, Batman is still one of my favorite superheroes of all time. I even love Batman so much that I have DC McFarlane's I've paid a lot of money for that are from different universes. The Batman Who Laughs, Gladiator Batman, Detective Batman, Arctic Batman, Prehistoric Batman. So it's safe to say I'm pretty tolerant when it comes to different versions of Batman. But where I draw the line is when you try to recreate or make your own Batman off the New 52 Batman and you completely botch it. Batman v Superman, and by extension Man of Steel, are not very good superhero movies at all. Justice League was okay, especially the remake, but the main problem fundamentally is down to the core. Zack Snyder does not understand superheroes. He only knows how to make things look cool. Don't get me wrong, 300 is a very cool movie, but if you're going for historical accuracy, let's not put all your cards on the table, because Zack Snyder did not make that in any sense historically accurate. But I'm also not stupid. The movie looks and feels and is badass. So when you stick a man who knows how to make things look badass, but then you try to make him write things, you're gonna kinda have some problems. See, Zack Snyder really does know how to make things look intriguing. He knows how to make things visually pop. But the man does not know how to write for shit. That's why I'm in the field that Henry Cavill and Ben Affleck could have been two very perfectly chosen actors for the roles they were in. But bad writing never wins. My point in saying all of this is I've been recently playing through the Telltale series, and I must say, the Batman in this game is very well put together. Even though you technically make choices for the Batman, it does technically get you to that regardless of your choices. You're basically just choosing what kind of Batman, what personality type, and what attitude he has throughout the story, even though it gets you there regardless of your choices. And like I said before, Ben Affleck could have been an amazing Batman. He had the right build for it. He looked like a great Batman. He had the right Bruce Wayne down. He definitely acted like Bruce Wayne. But when I see Batman take a fucking cow iron and burn criminals to be marked to be killed in prison, yeah, that's not very Batman-like, I must say. Or when I watch Superman watch an entire room full of people, or I should say courtroom of people, get blown into pieces emotionally, and he's just sitting there unemotionally when he's supposed to be, although he's an alien, he's supposed to be one of the most human characters in DC ever. This was a man back in the 1940s, when things were way more rougher than they are now, was saving squirrels and immigrants from other countries. Superman is a Boy Scout. That's how Superman is. He wouldn't watch an entire room of people get blown to pieces without at least trying to do something. Also, the warehouse scene with Batman is very cool. I really like how he's skirting the line between murder and not murder, and it's very brutal but contained. And like I said, he could have been a very cool Batman. He could have been one of the best Batman, but bad writing never wins. That goes for Superman and Batman. And now, like I said, I grew up on Christian Bale, things like that. And he's not even the best Batman, because his Batman wasn't even the focus of the movies and the Dark Knight trilogy that really brought that to light. Batman in that trilogy is not the main character, other than in Batman Begins. And in The Dark Knight and The Dark Knight Rises, Batman is the co-star to the villain story. So it's not necessarily fair to compare that Batman to the other ones. You can, but he doesn't really have a character arc or emotions or anything that would make him even comparable to the other ones. Robert Pattinson's Batman is also, in my opinion, one of the best as well. I don't know if he's the best, but he's up there with one of the best. I really like how his Batman is more gothic and depressed and isolationist. It kind of fits with the whole overall atmosphere and depression of Gotham and the kind of hopelessness of Gotham. I really like how he's kind of a loner and nobody really knows him and they're kind of off with him. I also like how he's kind of learning how to treat criminals and that they're also human too and complex and they're not just irredeemable monsters like he thinks in the beginning. I also like how he has to think through all of the riddles and he has to think through each process as a Batman should, because Batman is overall the world's greatest detective. Where I do believe the movie kind of falls short is that its action is kind of subpar compared to the other Batmans, although it does make up for it with its noir type genre style. It makes up for it in its dialogue and showing, not telling type style, but its action does need a little work. Overall, we've been pretty blessed over the last 25 years of pretty good Batmen who aren't overly cheesy and overly cringy. And although Tim Burton gets his critiques now and he's not very good anymore and his movies are kind of corporatized, he did change Batman for the better and he did make Batman who he is today, completely changing Batman fundamentally from the core to be darker, more brutish, and overall better. I mean, look at 1960s Batman. He was a goofball, he was cheesy, and everyone thought it was for kids. I mean, the dude had bat bombs and bat shark spray. Like, it was overly cheesy, dumb, and stupid, and that's what it was meant to be, a comic book show. I don't see Batman like that anymore. I don't think anyone does. But I do believe the overall review I'm going to give the Telltale series is that it's definitely worth a play, it's definitely worth a try, and it's up there with one of the best Batman. It does need some work. I haven't finished the second season yet, and I'm towards the end of the first season, and they did Joker very, very well. Nobody knows who Joker's real name is. His name is John Doe in it, and they don't even know how he got to the asylum. Like, it's overall just very well put together, even though you can make decisions that make Batman more of an asshole or it makes him more of a nice guy. It still gets the overall picture of Batman, I think, to a T. I personally like how Two-Face is done. I mean, he's done extremely well in this game. It goes to show you how forgotten his mental illness was in The Dark Knight. I mean, the man at some point in this, I should say, movie game, talks to himself in the third person as if the other side of his personality isn't even Harvey, because that's exactly what it is. The other side of Two-Face is not Harvey. And I was making choices where I wasn't attacking him because he was losing his mind. So he would eventually stop and smack himself in the head and be like, this isn't me, this isn't me, this isn't me. Man, that makes you really feel bad for Harvey. It makes you feel sympathy for the man. Without getting too far into spoilers, since this is technically a different Batman in a different universe, they have their own villain named Lady Arkham. And Lady Arkham is an extremely well put together villain. She's very terrifying, and the twist is really cool, and I don't want to spoil it if you haven't played the Telltale series. I really like how Two-Face isn't really treated as a secondary villain. He's kind of hand in hand with Children of Arkham and Lady Arkham. He's kind of the catalyst between the Children of Arkham and Lady Arkham controlling all of Gotham and the fall of Gotham. And Two-Face and Bruce Wayne start as best friends and end up as enemies because Batman screws Selina Kyle. And that was really the catalyst of Two-Face's own downfall, even though Bruce Wayne was paying for his campaign to become mayor. It's just overall a high-octane, highly emotional, great put-together story. And Batman is the main front and center character. And it makes you really contrast and believe that Bruce Wayne is Batman, and it really does make you believe yourself are playing and making choices that impact Gotham and everyone in it. Overall, the game is an extremely well put together game, and it's definitely a solid pick, at least for a Batman game, and you should give it your attention. If I were to give it a rating out of 10, I'd give it a 7 out of 10. It does fall short in certain areas. Sometimes it makes Batman a simp. Sometimes it can make Batman overbearing. But, you know, as we all know, video games are not perfect as human beings are not perfect. Anyway, if you enjoy this video, please consider giving it a like. And y'all take care now.